Hello, this is Chris from the Cinema Savvy Movie Podcast, here today with George Aldridge for a brand new reaction video. This is for the Dunkirk official trailer 1. The teaser trailer did come out, which I didn't do a reaction to because I was planning on it and I can't remember what I saw at the cinema. But the trailer was kind of spoilt for me and there wasn't really much to talk about in that one. It was a very sort of short one clip. And then I finished work earlier, got out, checked my messages on Facebook, and you said the trailer's gone up. Now, you've already seen the trailer.
Yep, everyone... Actually, I don't think I've really said it on the podcast. I'm a massive Christopher Nolan fan. I'm sure I've mentioned it at some point or another, but this is my maybe more anticipated film than Episode 8 for next year. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. I met him, which was amazing. I love... Not one of them outright fanboys. I can critique his films if I need to, but I think he's one of the best directors working today. So I'm buzzing to see this.
Yeah, he's an incredible filmmaker, and it's great to see him actually take on a war film this time. He's really kind of covered many different genres with sci-fi, superhero films. Now he's taking on World War II?
Yeah.
1? Yeah, 2. I don't know my history. I'm so bad, guys. Anyway, we're going to get to the trailer now. I'm going to talk much more about it afterwards, but really excited for this one. So we'll click play now. See, there's colour in the trailer.
That's a joke to Tate, who did not like it.
The enemy tanks have stopped. Why? Why waste precious tanks when they can pick us off from the air like a fish in a barrel?
Jesus Christ. And you know
There
that
are
he got...
400,000 men on this beach.
He probably got that many extras.
Yeah. You got real planes. Real explosions.
It's interesting with Hacksaw Ridge coming out as well, like if this is actually going to rival Saving Private Ryan, which kind of set the standard for...
He's coming back round. He's coming back round!
Looks very different from Nolan's other movies, even in terms of his style. Like...
It actually looks like it's got a bit more colour than I thought.
Yeah.
Dunkirk.
Scott Violence.
Very good cast.
There's no hiding from this, son. We have a job to do.
If we go there, we'll die.
See, I can see what Tate means when he said that the trailer doesn't look like it's got a clear-cut character. But then again, if you look at shows like Band of Brothers, that didn't really either.
It's I've forgotten the words. It's not an entourage, with Tom Hardy coming in.
Ensemble film.
That's the
one. Do we see, what's his name?
Styles.
Harry Styles, One Direction.
I'm sure there's a One Direction girl that's pointed out already in the
You
comments.
can practically see it from here.
It's Gilderoy Lockhart.
Home.
Wow. Summer 2017. Mark your calendar. Right, so do you want to go into your impressions first? Because, I mean, this is your second time watching it. Did you pick up anything this time that you didn't see the other time? Or
I picked up a lot more on the colour. That's thanks to Tate pointing out that there's no colour in it, which I had to tell him it's not the Suicide Squad, it's War. I think the first time, I didn't really react to this, don't do reactions, but I was literally going, not crazy, but the first time I seen this trailer I was kind of buzzing because war films are probably my second or third favourite genre. It's very rare to get a very good war film, so the second Nolan attached himself to one, let alone it being on the Dunkirk evacuation. I'm going to give a little bit of background to those that don't know. Dunkirk, there was well, you can kind of see it in the trailer, there's an evacuation of almost every soldier using normal boats across the British Channel. So, and it's going to get brutal. We see that with the sort of the Germans attacking over the beach. It's something that's very interesting story-wise, and I think, just going briefly off into the characters, I'm liking the fact there's an ensemble cast because there are big names then. Whether it's, I kind of read it, not like Pulp Fiction, because it's not going to be like that narrative-wise, but you might get 4 or 5 protagonists sharing the screen with maybe one that's more important than the others. Mm. But when they did announce this, by the Harry Styles and a few big names, they did say that its lead is going to be unknown actors, which gives an unknown quantity for the film, which I think could be very effective.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of my opinions, I kind of agree with Tate on this, that this trailer itself didn't get me massively hyped for the film. It's got me very interested for the film, though, and I think that really what this trailer is doing is it's not so much showing you plot and character, it's showing you just the marvel of like filmmaking. And I mean, Christopher Nolan's name, regardless of what I thought of The Dark Knight Rises, every other film he's done is fantastic, perfectly made, and it's a name that carries clout in the directing world. So when it says Christopher Nolan brings you a new movie, it gets your attention straight away. And taking on a new genre, as I said, with a World War movie, I can't even comprehend how difficult it would be to film one of these things on this scale. I mean, you can go more in depth because you've read into it more, but the fact that he went to like an auction or like a war museum and bought actual planes to then blow up on screen.
Yeah, what I've read a report, he bought £3 million proper aircraft. You can see them in the trailer. I mean, there's obviously some CG to an element on explosions, but you can guarantee there'll be real explosions. They're real planes being used. They had a real warship. I don't know if they rented it or borrowed it from the government. So there's a lot of authenticity. But the story is that he did spend £3 million on a vintage World War II airplane. He strapped it in an IMAX camera and then blew it up.
That's when you know you've made it as a filmmaker, when you can blow that kind of cash on a single plane.
Yeah, and you got to look, the fact that he's shooting this on IMAX, I think it might be one of the first outright war films on IMAX, as in a World War II film. There's a lot lending towards it. He's shot on film. I'm not the biggest... there's a big argument with film or digital. Myself, I don't really care. If you've got the money that can shoot on film, that's what they prefer, go for it. But I think when you're doing historical films, if you shoot on film, although we can't see it as much, there is this like authenticity that is what they had back then. Not like the awfulness like Super 8, but the real just gives a bit of date to it. It makes it feel more sort of what that is. It's the same as Saving Private Ryan. I think this film will be compared to Private Ryan a lot because it is a war film that's an outright blockbuster. It's got a June release date, I think, or July. Differs to the normal sort of Nolan November-ish one. So I think straight off the go, if you look at the filmmaking, the cinematography looked really well in that.
Yeah.
It's a war film, so there's a good chance of being nominated for Oscars. You can make an easy outsider bet for Best Director nomination. That's not me just like going mental for it. That is genuinely what the war film genre can do for people. And you've got an author who's at the top of his game, who's left the superhero franchises behind. He wants to go make films that he feels like should be made, and this is one of them. So go for it. It's original to a degree because there's been no Dunkirk mega movie blockbuster in recent years, not like a Pearl Harbor, a normal D-Day one. This is something new for a wider audience. Yes, there's Harry Styles in it. We don't see a lot of him.
I actually want to give him a chance.
Yeah.
I know Nolan isn't the one who controls the casting. I can't remember who the casting agent is for his films, but
he does have the final say. I think.
So clearly they've seen something in his performance.
Yeah. If you look at his casting in his films, I know people don't like Tom Hardy as Bane. I don't think that's Tom Hardy himself. I think that's them wanting the...
That was the execution of the character.
Yeah, they want the original Bane. Whereas with... I think you've got to look at a cast like this. You've got Mark Rylance, who's... BFG, Wolf Hall,
Bridge of Spies. That's
a great name. Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, previously worked with them all before.
So Kenneth Branagh, who's new in Nolan's movies, but I mean he's a class A actor.
And I think with Harry Styles, you've got to look that he doesn't make mistakes. Even if Dana Rises Marion Cotillard, she had the awful death. She's a very good actress, and she played her Talia well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Harry Styles a chance. I just hope that the One Directioners don't just start screaming every time I'm there at the cinema trying to watch it.
That did actually happen, didn't it? I think you said that one time.
There's a lot of... Every time you search something for news on Twitter, it just comes up with One Direction. It's like an official Harry Dunkirk account, and I'm just there waiting. I want some film news. And I think there was a trailer somewhere, and Directioners were apparently screaming when they heard it. So it's going to be one of them where it'll be very interesting to see how it is in cinemas, because I don't know what they're expecting in a World War II film either, because it's probably going to be a 12 given the summer blockbuster release, but
sort of Nolan's track record as well. Actually, with Memento, that was a 15, wasn't it? And I think Insomnia
15
may have been.
You can actually see there the Christopher Nolan shrine covered in Empire magazines at the minute, but I'm very intrigued. I mean, I think it's a great trailer, but story-wise, I know bits of it. But I'm intrigued to see what comes next, because this is Christopher Nolan. He's not going to give away the entire plot, anything like that. He tries to keep it as minimalistic in each of his trailers for each of his films. So there's a degree of quietness. Like Tom Hardy, someone like Tom Hardy should be all over this trailer.
Is in one shot.
One shot.
Yeah.
And
so maybe there's more to his character that they don't want to show, but even then, this whole trailer didn't really show much about the actual plot of the film. Well, I think the focus, as I said, on this was sort of like the level of filmmaking and definitely the cinematography. Now, to me, it kind of looked different from Nolan's other films, even in terms of that. So I don't know if is Wally Pfister still doing the cinematography on this, or has he got someone new involved in it?
You know what? I genuinely don't know. I know that he didn't have Wally Pfister on Interstellar because he was directing.
Oh, Transcendence.
And so they had Hoyt van Hoytema, I think you pronounce it, and that was, I think it was nominated for best cinematography at the Oscars. If not, it had awesome cinematography. So, regardless of who he's picked, I think it looks stunning. Even the shot of the guy walking, the dead bodies on the beach, the way that he integrates the IMAX cameras with everything, it's going to be interesting to see how it does turn out on the big screen.
And the last point I'll sort of bring up is, especially with a war film, you've got to have that emotion with the characters. Now, I will say, as good as Nolan's other films are, none of them have really captured me emotionally. Not really. There were bits of Dark Knight Rises with like Michael Caine when he cried in those movies. They were really good, but that was kind of an end of a trilogy, so you'd expect something like that. But in terms of his other films, I've never really got that sense, because although the films are great, the people in them, like their dialogue, seems very intellectual. Like there's never really a moment where they down to earth feel like real people. So I think for a war movie, you absolutely have to have them down to earth, believable characters to generate that emotion. So it will be see if his approach has changed to this movie, or if you still are going to have those long monologues that he has in his previous films.
I think because Interstellar is a sci-fi and not just sci-fi outright science more than fiction, what they tried to do, the same as exposition and sort of physics that to accommodate into the
Inception
script.
as well.
Inception was very much exposition about the dream world for the first time. I'm not including Batman, because everyone knows Batman. We're gonna have a story that people don't need to know, but they know it's set. It's based on a non-fiction story. It's based on a historical event. So I think the dialogue will be very interesting to see what they do. The fact they've got unknowns means that they're going to make it more, not sort of simple, but is it going to be a sort of a dialogue enhanced, no technical stuff, just this is what's happening, war, I've got stuff going on left, right, centre. I think it could be very different. And I think based off this trailer, we said Ensemble Cast, you mentioned Band of Brothers, this could easily be something where there's maybe 3 or 4 stories going on at once, and each person might have a different story aspect. Someone might have family at home, someone might be a young soldier that's new. There's loads of possibilities with a 200 million blockbuster. This is going to be very intriguing to see what comes in the following trailers and obviously the big screen.
And if it's like his other running times for his films, it's going to be pushing 3 hours anyway, like 2:30, 2:40, 2:50, anything upwards from that. So that's really all I can say on Dunkirk. So if you said anything, we'll round off on it.
Roll on Star Wars tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be back very, very shortly with our predictions video for Rogue One. We've got midnight tickets tonight. That's going to be amazing. But yeah, that'll do it for our reaction video to Dunkirk Official Trailer 1. Be sure to comment, subscribe, and let us know what you thought of the trailer. Any of Nolan's previous movies. What are you excited for about this movie? In terms of what's coming up on the channel, as you just said, predictions video. We'll have our live stream review of Rogue One: A Star Wars Story tonight. And there'll be other reaction videos from me, other movie reviews, and Star Wars Month is well and truly rolling on the channel, so we'll bring you more content for that. But that'll do it from us tonight, and until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.